Hello, I'm Mike Bain from Christian Voice New Zealand. Hot news has been the withdrawal of the COVID-19 vaccine made by AstraZeneca after admissions, well, it could cause very rare but life-threatening injuries. Hey, but just hold the phone before you ring your solicitor to start legal proceedings because the spin doctors have been banging on their keyboards. Now the Swedish-British pharma company, well, they're reporting that the withdrawal was due to a surplus of available updated vaccines against the new variants of the novel coronavirus. Now, I acknowledge that the vaccine, regardless of its source, whether it be AstraZeneca or Pfizer, well, it's a hot button for many, especially in New Zealand. So I'm not going to talk about the pros and the cons on vaccination. Instead, I'm going back to a subject that we've previously discussed, and that is the United Nations/World Health Organization's pandemic treaty. So here is what I call the Reader's Digest version of why the WHO initiated this idea and its implications. Well, first of all, following on from the varied response from many nations, WHO have promoted the idea of a worldwide, if you like, uniform response to any future pandemics. The WHO claim that this is a health response, and on face value, well, it's not a bad idea, but they always say that the devil is in the detail, and in this proposal, it really is. What WHO is wanting, although they'll claim it to be untrue, is when another pandemic arrives, WHO will act within a nation, take over its sovereignty, and act accordingly in terms of the treaty. Now, WHO is looking for signatures of all member nations, but New Zealand has indicated it won't be signing up. And while there's a great deal of lobbying against the United States signing it, President Biden is likely to. Now, losing your sovereignty to a global organisation like the WHO is a huge thing for any government to do, as this eliminates any power a democratically elected government has. Now, the United Nations timeline for signatories all done and dusted is the end of September. Not that far away, really. Now, there is an increased amount of news reports, have you noticed, regarding the next pandemic, which is due. And that is the avian or bird flu, which is affecting various species around the world. Now, whether it has the potential to cross over to humans has not yet been discovered, but I guess it'll be slipped into the market in Wuhan very shortly. The United Nations, along with the World Economic Forum, yep, you probably wondered where they figured in all of this, but both have been promoting the idea of a new pandemic, which is referred to as X, which is expected to make an impact on your nervous system in 2025. Hence the need for the nations to come together and sign up for the pandemic treaty. Now, I don't have to tell you, but with varying and conflicting news reports and stories, it won't be a hard sell for pandemic fervour to be whipped up again. Did I mention that this X-pandemic will also promote the onset of cancer? And this is the reason that Pfizer, Bill Gates and all those other rich people, well, they've been taking over as many cancer research companies as they can. Look, I know it sounds like a huge conspiracy theory, but it's not. It's actually a thing. And what I'm discussing may be news to you, and really, why is that? Well, the left-wing news media in this country, well, it's more concerned about its new role, being the opposition to the current coalition government. And let's not forget, it's kind of worried about the new carpet in Christopher Luxon's office and reporting the facts about anything which is of substance to the future direction of New Zealand. I have to say it, there is a great deal of ignorance of world affairs in this country. Despite being able to access as much information as possible via the internet, and this ignorance comes from the habit of watching and believing everything we hear from the 6 o'clock news bulletin. And here it is, what is really happening, and the reason we have raised the pandemic treaty, and the reason why the UN, the WHO and the WEF want to seize sovereignty of countries, why these organisations are behind centralised digital banking, 15-minute cities, why they're attempting to manipulate a famine by encouraging farmers to grow less, and why we're being told we need to decrease our populations by 25%, and why we have to own nothing to be happy. Not a conspiracy theory? Well, check it all out for yourselves. We won't be sucked in again, I hear you say. Well, it was so easy for these people to inject you with fear, close your borders and ruin your economy. Who's willing to say it won't happen again? But it is happening. And why is that? It's because those who have the real power in the world are steadily moving to a point of time the Bible speaks about. A time when we'll see a centralization of everything, a one world government. Yep, I bet you've heard about it. Now is it making sense? And who's going to run this one world government? It'll be the one that the Bible speaks about as the man of perdition. Many claim he's here today. Many also claim he has been. He may well be here today, unknown to you and I, but he will reveal himself soon. 2 Thessalonians 2:3 says, "Don't let anyone deceive you in any way, for that day will not come until the rebellion occurs and the man of lawlessness," that is the man of perdition, the Antichrist, is revealed. The man doomed to destruction. He'll oppose and he'll exalt himself over everything that is called God or is worshipped, so that he sets himself up in God's temple, proclaiming himself to be God. Now, the admission regarding the COVID vaccine is important because it underpins the one thing we all want in life, and that is the truth. Will the world be sucked in again to lockdowns, to mass vaccinations again? Well, the answer is yes. Because the number one weapon of choice is being used, and used freely, and that is fear. Call it a conspiracy, even laugh at the suggestion of a one world government, the idea of an antichrist. Some will even laugh and mock the suggestion that there is a God. But the father of the lies, Satan the devil, wants you to do exactly that. When it happens, and it will, you'll be like the population, clinging on to whatever you can as this world suddenly changes. You'll see the world change and scoff at the warnings that you've heard. The people you labelled as foolish, and that is how it'll be for a very short time until changes, just as they did in the days of Noah, that he and his family went about building their ark. Well, today is the day. Today is the day. I urge you to take some time out and think, and I mean really think. Use the internet, find out for yourself, speak with your Christian friends, but above all, I urge you to prepare yourselves as to what is to come. Look, even if you just read and believe what's written in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, you've made a start towards overcoming your fear, and you'll be set free when you see the truth. Unlike the company AstraZeneca, who manufactured the COVID vaccine, no Bible student will try and manipulate the truth about the message or its impact. So may the blessing of God be upon you for watching. As always, we welcome your comments, and if we have to remind you, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe.